So one quick update on the drive belt. You can see a new one on there. The brass belt actually broke. Just a piece of aluminum that I had on hand, about the correct thickness, about 0.15 millimeters or so, and drilled that out, cut it to the correct length, and the new dial scale. To steady that up and make it more vertical, again, just the vinyl itself was a little too thin. Starting to get some bowing, so I did put a piece of plastic on the back side. Just glued that on. An old yogurt top. The new dial pointer, again, I had to drill out that centerpiece that held the dial scale in place, and I just have a decorative screw there and have that threaded. A new dial pointer made out of plastic. The other one gave up as well, but everything tunes well now across the band. Again, the alignment's not done. Let's look at the loudspeaker real quick. I've already removed the fasteners. I could see where the speaker had been repaired at one point in time. This thing is in a little rougher shape than I thought. So let me see if this thing actually can be broke apart with ease. I may just go ahead and recone it. I've got it apart because you can see the cone itself is warped as well. So looking at the speaker basket closer, I think I'll have a go at this and go ahead and try to recone it. You can see the fastener right here at this location, one on the opposite end. I think it allows me to remove the fill coil assembly. You can see the spider bracket there, and again the old warped cone. I'll try to save the voice coil. There's a look at the two fasteners, one again back to the spider frame itself, or supporting bracket, holding the output transformer on as well. See if I can break this fastener loose. It's just spinning. I need to get a wrench or some needle nose or something down here on the bottom side. They put that at a bad location. You can see where the fastener is, and then right there at the leads coming from the output transformer. Alright, same thing. Let me do this off camera. I'll bring you guys back with an update. And before I break away, you can see the connection there, one nut. Here's the holder, it appears, for the spider itself, a washer, and then one more nut. Okay, there's the washer, and the other nut, and part of the washer. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and just snip the leads off back to the terminal strip location. It'll be interesting to see if I destroyed the voice coil, trying to get this out. At least the construction technique, again with this being the yoke itself that bolts back down to the back plate here on the speaker basket, makes it easy to rewind the fill coil on this type of speaker. Set this off to the side. You can see the cone itself being 80 plus years old, just used up. Looks like my voice coil and spider are still good. Let me heat up the soldering iron and just go ahead and see if I can pull these leads loose. Okay, got that unsoldered, and there's the spider assembly and the voice coil. I think I can just slide the razor blade underneath here and save the old cardboard gasket. Here's the speaker basket again. I got the solder 2 locations there cleaned up. I'm going to just lay this face down as such, and just a little bit of lacquer thinner for about 10 minutes or so. Soften up the paper and glue that's left here around the surround area. And the humbucking coil. And you can see just a little bit of buildup over the center pole piece as well. And there was just a little bit of tacky glue in place just to keep the fill coil down on the back side of the yoke. So you've got this clearance at the top for the voice coil to move up and down. The speaker basket, after a nice cleaning and a fresh coat of paint. I just cleaned up the holder for the spider, and I did notice the spider's got one little crack right there. I'm going to mix up some epoxy, place it on there. I think the visual on the remaining spider looks good. All the hardware cleaned up and ready to be reinstalled. I'll give this a go. And with the epoxy in place, I'm going to try to clean this instead of painting this back piece, the yoke itself. Just in case, 11442. I'll probably end up scrubbing that off. Alright, that cleaned up well, and I can still see the nomenclature there. Faded just a bit, but got rid of most of the grime. The center pole piece, I'm going to take some Renaissance wax and place it on here, that top section that you see exposed. Again, I just want to make sure I didn't have any rough spots or anything on that center pole piece. The voice coil clearance is really tight, just to ensure I don't have any rubbing or debris in there. I'm going to go ahead and take some time to unsolder the fill coil and remove it, so I can put some lead wire down here on the transformer and get the output transformer cleaned up as well. I'll install that last back on the speaker. That way I can go ahead and get the yoke and the center pole piece, the spider bracket and the spider back on, and go ahead and create a cone. I've got a couple cones here I'll use as a donor surround, and again just use some craft paper to build a new cone. got the bracket spider voice coil back in the loudspeaker. Fill coil in place. Lead wires tied in as well. Shims in place while I was tightening down the fasteners, just to make certain that the voice coil was centered best I could get it. I'm going to go ahead and fabricate a cone, and again use the surround off of this speaker, cut it to size, get everything glued back in place, and then we can give everything a test once I get the output transformer cleaned up as well. And I'll look at my dry fit for the surround that I cut out. Again, the discarded cone. There's my cut line, and again I've got it pulled in far enough to be able to still glue down to the frame, but also allow the old gasket to work as well without compressing the foam. I've got the paper cone cut out, and I'm just gluing it back to the surround. Tried to center it best I could, and just using some Airline's tacky glue on the back side of the surround itself. And then I'll go back and water some down and seal around the sound and the cone later on. Just a little lightweight on top, just to keep that in place. And then we'll let that dry. Then we'll be ready to reattach that back to the voice coil itself and the speaker basket. Here's a look at the homemade cone. Again, the glue itself is still drying. The donor surround. Again, after this dries, I'll do another dry fit. And I've got very little voice coil protruding, so just a real thin layer of epoxy around the cone itself and down around the voice coil where it meets the spider. And then my lead wires that are protruding up, very fragile. That's the solder tieback points to the probably 38 to 40 AWG wire used for the voice coil. I'll attempt to use some epoxy and attach those back to the back side of the cone itself. You can see I didn't have much of a voice coil height-wise to work with. So hopefully the epoxy will hold to the cone and the voice coil. I've just got a roll of tape up here to apply just a little bit of pressure on the cone. I'm going to glue the surround last and put the shims back in place before doing so. I'll let this dry for about 3 hours or so. Yeah, by the way, with my donor surround, the top diameter 85 millimeters for the cone. The depth or height of the cone 15 millimeters, and the cutout around the voice coil 19.2 millimeters. I'll let the glue dry overnight. Let me remove the shims and the clothespins around the gasket. I need to get the transformer cleaned up and the lead wire dress. We'll plug this thing back in and give it a test drive. My first power up test. Of course, this thing will sound better once it's in the cabinet itself. Just got it sitting on some paper towels and a little yogurt container. But I'm satisfied with the results to this point.
Saved, and if you want to title this message, Give the Gospel, just plain and simple. We're going to use John 3.
and the glorious appearing.
Although
You're dealing with it, and you feel like you're getting over the grief, and then in a grocery store.
Okay guys, I think that's it for this video. I'll bring you guys back once I get it in the cabinet. I'm going to unsolder the leads going to the output transformer and clean those up a little bit. I've got some fraying down in this area and near the output transformer itself as well.